Imagine standing face to face with a giant, a warrior so massive that trained soldiers tremble at the sound of his voice, a man whose armor weighed more than most people could carry. Now imagine the only person willing to fight him was a shepherd boy. This is the unforgettable story of David and Goliath. Thousands of years ago, the armies of Israel and the Philistines stood on opposite sides of a valley. Every morning and every evening, a giant warrior named Goliath stepped forward. He was over 9 feet tall, dressed in bronze armor, carrying a massive spear and an enormous shield. His booming voice echoed across the battlefield. "Choose one man to fight me. If he defeats me, we will become your servants. But if I defeat him, you will serve us." For 40 long days, Goliath mocked Israel and challenged their courage. No one dared move, not even King Saul. Fear had frozen an entire army. Caring for his father's sheep, he wasn't a soldier. He had no military training. He was simply the youngest son in his family. One day David's father asked him to deliver food to his older brothers, who were serving in the army. When David arrived at the battlefield, he heard Goliath's challenge. He watched as every soldier stepped back in fear. David couldn't believe what he was seeing. He asked, "Why is no one standing against this giant?" The soldiers laughed. They saw only Goliath's size. David saw something greater. He saw that God was with him. Word of David's courage reached King Saul, who called for the young shepherd. Saul looked at David and said, "You are only a boy. Goliath has been a warrior since his youth." But David replied with confidence, "When I cared for my father's sheep, lions and bears attacked the flock. I protected the sheep, and God delivered me from every danger. The same God will deliver me from this giant." Saul was amazed. He finally agreed. First, he gave David his royal armor. David tried to wear it. It was far too heavy. He couldn't even walk properly. So David took it off. Instead, he carried only his shepherd's staff, a sling, and 5 smooth stones he picked up from a nearby stream. The giant saw David approaching. He laughed. "Am I a dog?" Goliath shouted, "that you come at me with sticks?" He mocked David and promised to destroy him. But David was not afraid. He answered boldly, "You come against me with a sword, a spear, and a javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty. Today everyone will know that the battle belongs to God." Then David began to run, not away from the giant, toward him. He reached into his bag, placed a stone into his sling, spun it with incredible speed, and released it. The stone flew through the air. It struck Goliath directly on the forehead. The mighty giant staggered. Then he crashed to the ground. The battlefield fell silent. The giant who terrified an entire nation had been defeated by a shepherd boy with unwavering faith. The Philistine army fled in panic. Israel celebrated an impossible victory. David's courage became legendary, and years later he would become one of Israel's greatest kings. But the greatest lesson from this story isn't about strength. It's about faith. Everyone else measured the giant. David measured the power of God. If this video inspired you, like, share, and comment, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel.